away. That's an asshole cat.
Stew.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, and we're live. Do you know what video we're covering today?
No.
We're covering the Midnight Chimes video, and I said, so this is, my game plan was, so I could get content, because I'm a whore, was that if you want my response, we're gonna do it live.
Okay.
So let's see if we could get this wrapped up in less than 4 hours. Or however long fucking Sheldon did. Shout out to Midnight Chimes, Buttons, who's in the call right now.
Hey.
Shelly D, and whoever the hell is in charge of this continual shit garbage fire. Alright,
And I am prepared to hear criticism.
okay, let's do this. Share screens, bunk, done, and away we go.
Okay.
Oh, before we begin this.
Oh,
let me-
did you put sound?
No, I will unmute that. I just want to have a second one with so I can keep an eye on the dashboard to see who's coming along here. Oh, perfect. Creator Studio, because I'm going to use the laptop to follow since I'm on the desktop.
Okay.
Live streaming. Everyone, naturally head on down to Midnight Chimes' channel. Just type in Midnight Chimes MLP. You'll be able to find it. And back to the front here and the audio.
If you are here to try and argue that transgender people are delusional or not real or some other bigoted nonsense, then this video is not for you.
Yeah.
Boy.
I was about to say, they're the Tooth Fairy, you know. Anyways.
I want to say, when going into this, I didn't know Midnight Chimes' part when doing the collab until it came out on the video itself.
No, I
just
get
did-
it too. I've heard Midnight Chimes' spiel, and it sounds like a Midnight Chimes video. So let's continue.
Recommend you click away now and preferably do the rest of the world a favour
Kidding.
and jump off the nearest cliff, because I will not even be entertaining such notions. Instead, we are going to have an intelligent discussion about why exactly pronouns are important and what it means when you choose not to respect someone's identity.
God, I live for that fucking opening music.
It is really cool.
Now, I feel the need to acknowledge right away that there is a culture of anti-political correctness that exists, especially on the internet, where you get
Especially in England.
people who will deliberately misgender someone or claim there are only two genders simply to be offensive and provoke a reaction from those who are deemed oversensitive. There may be no
Do you have any thoughts to share with us so far there, Steps? As I feel like we might be running over you right now.
No, I'm just watching.
Oh, okay. do you want a moment of silence for Steven Crowder's channel being demonetized?
Oh, I heard about that.
Wait, what? Who?
Okay, so Stephen Crowder is one of the most...
You sound a little quiet now, Step. Is there any way of boosting it?
I'm quiet. Oh, am I okay now?
It's a bit quiet. Is there any way of fixing it?
Let me find where my...
You know what? Let me close the kill and I'll restart.
Rest in peace.
Is he-
Okay, there you are.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, it sounds a lot better. Fantastic.
Oh, okay.
So
Alright.
basically, Stephen Crowder was one of the... Fucking shit. Stephen Crowder is one of the more popular conservative people on the internet. Basically what he does is he does weekly podcasts where he brings on people like Ben Shapiro. He brought Jordan Peterson on one time. He talks about right-wing talking points. He's a pretty entertaining guy, even though he's wrong about a lot of things.
Right,
So,
wait,
would you
are
would you
those
would you
like...
say that he is the you know how sports entertainment is a exaggerated version of sports like pro wrestling? You would say he's political entertainment.
He is absolutely political entertainment. I find him entertaining. He's just
Okay,
wrong
so he's
about a lot of
more
things.
shtick than fucking sincere. Got it.
Oh yeah, he does skits at the beginning of it. You remember that Biden grab ass video I sent you a while ago, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was made by Steven.
Okay.
So recently Steven's been coming on their father. This guy from Vox, I think Vox is a left-wing mouthpiece channel.
I have heard of Vox.
They're retards. But
Yes.
I forget his name. I'm gonna call him Gay Wong because that's his Twitter handle. See, Crowder's a comedian, even though I don't find him funny all the time. He's been calling all these quote unquote homophobic slurs at this guy, calling him gay, making fun of him. And
I wouldn't
this
call calling a homophobic guy a homosexual guy gay. That's the term for homosexual.
I
I
understand.
mean,
Okay, so let me make an argument from that. Basically, gay has been used as a disparaging remark there.
oh
But,
yeah, no, I do
but
know
at the
about
same
that.
time, that's also very complicated to sit there and say, "Oh, he said gay in a disparaging way." How do you know his tone?
Well,
I know what you
basically,
mean.
okay, I can answer that. I grew up in the ghetto, and kids all the time would say, "Oh, that's so gay," instead of saying something's retarded, and it would be a way of disparaging gay people.
No,
And like,
I get
Yeah.
it too, but I've also
And
heard
on the other hand,
it's
some
even
people
funnier when you've heard gay people say, "I'm gay," and even I think that that's gay.
oh yeah, no, like there are people. It just depends. I guess it depends on the individual and how they take it because of how they grew up. Like for instance, I won't say who, but I know someone who grew up in earlier times where homosexuality was pretty looked down upon in the area, and it was like so bad that he would get physically hurt just for being gay and
Right.
open about it. So like I can understand if those people take offense to that because of how they grew up. I think it's just a case by case basis.
Yeah, but at the same time, on the other side of the stick, there are a lot of people who probably call themselves gay. It's the
No,
same thing
I
people
get it
call
too.
Oh,
themselves
absolutely.
queer.
So let's get back to it then, though.
The mental belief
But-
system or inherent
Go back to the order,
transphobia behind
continue
it.
With my rant.
So we're
Anyway.
talking about the
Oh,
same
wait,
So
ground.
Vox, the gay guy from Vox made put out a statement about how he's constantly getting harassed by
Okay.
Steven Crowder because Crowder keeps debunking all of Vox's strike.
Define harassment.
Me?
Yeah, what is he considering harassment? Attention?
He's considering Steven constantly calling him gay, or let's be queer from Vox. You know, and ongoing jokes that are meant to be satirical.
I wouldn't
He's
say gay,
considering
but
that-
let's be queer is kind of on the edge.
Well, he calls himself both of those things. So.
Okay, if he calls himself that, then he's just kind of like,
Right.
all right. If he's not
Yeah.
being
Yeah,
exclusive
and
with
then
the
he's
insult,
like, yo, YouTube. There's a bunch of right-wing people out there who
And
are
YouTube
being
basically
racist.
told him to suck it, from what I understand, didn't they?
oh,
I think so, yeah. But then Steven just started a fucking another apocalypse, or it's in the works right now.
he started the apocalypse.
Steven Crowder, yeah. Steven
So-
Crowder and Gay Walk.
Oh,
So I'll give this the same thing I'd heard before about this. From what I understand from Boogie0928 said that basically ad companies will leave just because they are able to renegotiate on better terms. I believe that because it just makes sense whether I feel that Boogie is being completely true or not. It does sound like something a big company would do. Wait, I could get a better deal if I fuck off for a couple months, and what's more, I don't need to be there that whole time. I could save money too. Win-win. Yeah, I totally believe that. So I don't necessarily believe Crowder. They would have probably eventually found any old little thing to piss off for. He probably just made it easier. But let's get back to the video.
oh wait, you're not sharing your screen.
All right, I will do so now.
Yeah, I just want to be able to. I want to be able to respond to questions and know the context and such.
Hang on one
And
second.
it's recording.
Yeah, I know. I unfortunately hit that. How do I shut this damn thing off?
I think
There,
there should
got
be
it,
like.
got it. Okay, cool. There we go, and start sharing. And I will kill the recording in the room. Remove since it's already got a stream going, and that's completely unnecessary. And go.
Facial slurs
Frankly, I
and
know next to
insults
nothing
like
about this. I just
retard
came
and
in 'cause,
autist
like,
on a
yo,
regular
Patch was there, I
basis.
wanted to
You
ask
know
her a
who I
question.
mean. The
Just
trouble
like
with such culture is that it's built on an
I don't really
ignorance of
By the way, we
context.
can't hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, you paused it.
Well,
Yeah.
1 second, please.
I know nothing about this. I just came in.
No,
Hey,
you paused it. That's why we can't hear it.
Yeah,
It's still paused.
I know you guys were continuing to talk, so we'll get
Oh.
back to his whole point here.
Or insults like retard and autist on a regular basis.
I use those too.
no one,
and
no
I-
one in limbo does that.
Yeah, thanks for cutting me off. I was just about to say that. I was about to take a really, really shitty shot at one of the former mods of the Secret Rift there by being a mega cunt, but I decided not to.
You know
Anyways,
who I mean. The trouble with such culture is that it's built on an ignorance of context and why people are offended by
no.
It's
I'm
not so much of ignorance of
let's be
context,
completely honest here. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. The person that you're referring to, whether it be myself or a gentleman who's missing all his teeth, he knows why he's doing it. It's not a level
It's
of
not so
ignorance.
much about missing of context. Most people know the context. It's the fact that, hey, we make fun of people to get a reaction out of them. We know the
Well,
context.
no. I think
our
yeah, the lazy copy paste troll that don't put any thoughts into their shit are missing the context. The trolls that are able to get you to fucking make you want to put your fist through the mirror know exactly what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For example, like if we were sitting there taunting like Toon Critic or something like that, I'd know just how bad I'm fucking with them.
Oh,
these
yeah.
terms to begin with. So what is it exactly that is so problematic about misgendering someone, you ask? I've literally heard someone say before, well, I wouldn't care if someone called me by the wrong pronoun. Two things. You do not speak for everyone. This
Oh, all right. So let's get to that for a second there. One of the coolest people I follow on Twitter, I don't know what their current thing is because people on Twitter change their shit all the time. The name was Wait Fixate, and I have always been endeared with them, despite the fact that their political leanings are different, because they said, I don't care what you call me, do whatever. And it made me feel more inclined. The less demanding someone is with something, the more inclined I am to respect them. And by the way, I'm getting a bit of an
Absolutely.
echo. Yeah.
And he says something really retarded later that I'm going to go on a tangent about. We're
Oh,
not there yet.
I'm sure. But yeah, should you, in all likelihood, again, if someone's actively going out of their way to take offense, I'm less likely to fucking endear themselves. It's the same reason why when I have these discussions with Leo about other things, don't make things hard for people. In any case, people will hear you out if you're reasonable, regardless of your stance.
I do think, like, I do know, like, people will misgender me, and I feel awkward correcting them just because, like, I don't want to seem like one of those assholes, but I do want to, like, kindly, gently, I'm they, them, just because, you know, it's how I go. But I'm not gonna, I do find it tactless when people accidentally are misgendered and then they fly off the handle because of it. Like, that's something that's a very big pet peeve of mine. People are going to accidentally misgender you in life. It is going to happen. It's the people who purposefully misgender you that need to kind of be told, hey, you're kind of being a bitch.
I get that too, Buttons. And again, the the example I like to go to for anyone who's familiar with Richard Pryor, he made this remark that it takes everything in your world to get through life without murdering a person. And he said, you know, then someone calls you the N-word. Now I'm not no man anymore. Now I got to deal with this shit. And I'm assuming it's something like that.
It basically, it makes you feel like people are respecting you as a human being by using what you go by, how you identify, and they make you feel as though.
May I make a response there? It's probably not the answer you're going to want to have, and I'm sure fucking Step could speak to this. What makes you think us normies actually get respect?
That's not what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, but
the respect of pronouns.
No, I get it too. When you're like, I feel like I'm not getting my respect. And I was like, I don't know where either minorities or trans people or LGBT assume that basically by mere virtue of being quote unquote normal that there's this unsophisticated layer of respect that we find ourselves.
Like, do you have to do people like call you a girl ever?
Mm-hmm.
Insultingly. Oh yeah, I've totally done that.
Yes, insultingly. But do they ever tell you, "Oh, well, I don't think of you as a man, therefore I'm going to call you a girl"? Like, not even like.
Oh yeah, absolutely as an insult. Yeah.
Well, obviously not.
How often?
Establishment.
It depends what kind of people are having a go at me. If they feel that they're actually getting a rise out of me.
Okay, let me
And
ask.
on point.
Well,
hold on. On point, Buttons. If I reacted as you're doing right now, it would happen constantly. If I actually sat there and said, "You will call me a man." They would be.
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm asking,
there'd be this sick smile that would go across their face.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let me ask. Okay. When was the last time you referred to as a woman?
I don't know. Probably again, your accomplished troll will fucking poke around until they find something that hits pay dirt. And my answer would have been probably the last time that I probably reacted that, how dare you? Or I did that unironically.
Well, no, but that's what I'm trying to say is, like, when was so you can't remember the last time you referred to as a woman? There were like,
well, there's a little difference with that. No.
Here's a problem with the argument of, well, you would do that to a cis person. Well, because cis people are the establishment. They've been around a lot longer.
No, and they have.
No, that's not true at all. I would. If I thought that I could do that to a cis person and get a rise out of them, and they're pissing me off, oh, you better believe.
Oh yeah, but the problem with you would do that to a cis person. Well, because we assume automatically in our minds we'd automatically assume.
I could
like
defeat
guy,
that. I could defeat you and Buttons on that one. You ever see the Sandlot, Buttons?
No.
Okay, there's a line in there where they're throwing shade back and forth at each other. They're two kids playing baseball. Do you know what the biggest insult is?
No.
You throw like a girl.
And everyone just looks at.
Oh yeah,
he looks that's not.
Like he steps back and switches and like, oh, you.
May I say something?
Yeah. What?
All right, and that's understandable, but because it's it's a common insult that's been thrown around for a very long time. But the difference isn't the fact of it's an insult that people aren't saying it as an insult. People will refer to someone as trans, like say someone identifies as a female, and they were born a male. Someone could just say, I'm just gonna call you a guy because I don't believe in transgenderism. Like I think that's the difference is trying to get across is cis people are automatically, oh, okay, you're a guy, cool. Like they don't have to say like they don't have to deal with that particular issue. They don't have
these conceptions in our minds already from birth that okay, this person looks like a dude. I think it's a dude.
I do. Let's.
So the problem with the argument of cis trender, it's not a thing. It's absolutely.
I'm not saying there's. I've never said anything about a cis trender, and I don't even.
Let me give you an example of
someone.
That, tell you what, I'll throw a name at you. Do you believe I respect Lilac?
Yes.
I have to remind myself. I absolutely.
And
do.
that's fine. That's
yeah. And I love Lilac. Holy shit! I owe
and
Lilac.
The reason
Holy
we
shit.
have to.
Yeah.
And the reason we have to keep reminding ourselves is because, again, these conceptions that we have in our head that are because cis people are still the establishment and probably will be for a long time.
Oh yeah, I also have to say this too. I've hung out with enough transgender people where I've second guessed myself and I've said her to a girl, where I've started to be confused.
And that's fine, but that's not what I was saying.
No,
you can like forget someone like if you've known someone for a while as a gender or something, and like, oh, okay, you have to correct yourself. That's fine. But the problem that cis people don't deal with that transgender people and non-binary do is, oh, I don't believe you, you're faking, or you're emotionally confused, I'm going to call you what I want to call you. They don't deal with that as often as like a trans. I don't think I've ever met a man or woman who's dealt with that issue specifically.
Okay. Let me. All right. So this is where I'm going to get some heat here, if I may. You've ever been an edgy teenager? Hi there, Step. So back in the day, we used to have a bunch of white kids who used to think they were black.
Oh god, transracial so much.
No. We just called them the it starts with the W. Back in the day, there wasn't anything such as transracial. Back in the just white kids who loved rap music a little too damn much. And people saw it as a passing phase. Now you have to understand, transgender in the way as fluent as it is very new to people. So when you see younger people pick something up, can you see where some people, I think Midnight would have done well, or both of you would have done well to sit there and explain this is not a fad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to get across is people see it as a fad, people see it as a phase, people see it as and that's something that really genuinely hurts transgender and non-binary people. It cuts deep because it's how they feel emotionally and biologically. They can't help the fact that they feel that way, and it can fuck with them. I even explain this in my part in the video.
I'll put it to you like this again. This isn't necessarily to call you out. This is a tip for anyone listening. And I go back to my earlier point to Leo. Do not make it harder than it needs to be. By the way, who's giving me the echo?
I think it's Step.
Yeah, but do not make it any harder than it needs to be. The idea that you are trying to make this feel natural and easygoing, you're trying to make this so it's a bit of shock to other people. I understand that you're going through a lot of shit right now. I get that. And I understand that this is probably the wave of the future. Make it feel more natural is the only advice I could do.
Yeah,
I don't have all the tips on that.
Like if you put it in your bio and you really do want people to respect your pronouns and you want to correct them, that's understandable. Don't go like shoving it in people's faces and getting uppity and screaming at them like at the GameStop guy, the GameStop that there are situations that kind of give us a negative light, and there's a reason people see non-binary and transgender as less than respectable is because of those less respectable behaviors.
I've gotten reluctant to use certain terms. I know Purple Tinker, the founder of BronyCon, is usually pretty cool about a lot of things, and I've talked to Tinker enough. Not a lot, but enough where when I talk to them, I just talk girl. I've seen a lot of people sit there and like I find myself flinching sometimes when I see like people going like tranny or some shit like that, but I've seen enough transgender people use the term. I don't know. It's one of those ones where I guess it's a case by case basis. I'm still kind of doing my best to keep up with the whole damn thing and not trying to be an overwhelming pain in the ass myself.
And that's respectable.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Let's get back to the video before we get
Yeah.
The mentality of I feel a certain way about something, therefore everyone else must do too, crops up worryingly often, despite the fact that people's brains working differently due to a variety of...
But all right, bro, Midnight. You talked about people's brains working differently at the same time, while
Yeah, he
also
contradicts
acknowledging that
himself so
people,
often.
acknowledging that people are going to have to think about it the way you did. You're noticing no inconsistency there. That's a bit concerning.
both innate and social factors, is not a hard concept to grasp. Frankly, I am sick of it. Secondly, if you are a cis person making this...
There was no...
Step,
yeah.
you're
Do you have a
echoing.
headset on or
God.
anything, man?
I could get one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Midnight, I think there's a level of fucking a bit of self-unawareness when you sit there and ask for understanding, but you seem to completely block out the other side of the argument. I don't hate transgender people by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel that this is very heavy-handed.
Again, I didn't know exactly
No,
what
I'm
the video...
I think you're misunderstanding. If
Wait, you
Midnight-
didn't even know what video you were doing?
Yeah.
Well, I knew the video. I knew basically he came to me asking, "Hey, so you are someone non-binary and you deal with dysphoria like a trans person. I was wondering if you could give your insight." I did my part.
Well, hold it. I could give Buttons a get-out-of-jail-free card on there. So, a lifetime ago, when somebody did a video on, like, say, Pokebrony, somebody missing all their teeth, did I know every line that was in that video? No.
No, but you did have a fun. That was a pretty funny.
That was a,
video.
but I put my ass on the line by being attached to that. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that was the one where you did the "shut the fuck up or I'll sodomize you with this broken bottle," right?
That one aged pretty good, didn't it?
I love that joke.
What with Foul? Yeah.
Yeah. That aged
Oh,
pretty
that was so. Oh god.
That's
Kane.
just how we treat our friends. That's all.
statement, you have blatantly overlooked all the context and nuance that is key to this issue.
There's again no self
Nuance.
Yeah, nuance. I think you're missing some of the other side there, Midnight. Just a skosh.
It is not just about using the wrong pronouns on someone. That in itself is not the heart of the problem. Rather, it is what it signifies when you choose to misgender a trans individual. Which is not to suggest that the act alone cannot harm someone, but to discuss its direct impact further, I thought I'd give the floor over to someone who actually has to deal with this shit on a regular basis.
Hello everybody, my name is Buttons, and I'm here to give a brief overview and some personal takes on gender dysphoria and
You
how
talk too
misgendering
fast.
can trigger it.
I know. I do need to work on that.
We'll fix this. There's a way of doing this.
Oh, yeah.
Settings.
Yeah, there you go. I
I'm
was just gonna suggest that.
No, it's fine.
You know what would have made this a lot better?
What?
What?
Like, okay, so you talk about your your therapist.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's get to that.
Okay,
Let's
okay,
wait,
okay, go
no,
ahead.
let's wait for it to. Well, can
Yeah,
you like
hold
mute?
it.
What?
Without even seeing the video, and I explained this to Buttons when I gave this explanation, it's the same advice I gave to Toon Critic as an analyst. If you're going to bring up your own personal perceptions or experiences, you have to be prepared to go all out on that whole thing if you want people to take you more seriously.
Oh yeah, and I do, but he just wanted me to do like 2-3 minutes of audio. Like I was limited to what I could do.
No, I understand. I guess he could have asked for a Google Doc or maybe done a
Yeah.
follow-up podcast.
Could you just mute Step? I'm getting an echo when we play the video.
Still, I have my.
No, I don't hear anything. It's good.
Oh, maybe it's just on my end or something.
Alright, yeah.
Individuals who are trans or non-binary.
All right, no, the 1.5 isn't doing it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's fine. Oh, what the hell?
You press the minimize button and click the screen. Yeah, and then go to the gear symbol.
Gosh
No,
darn, gosh
Gear-
darn
gear
YouTube.
symbol.
Yeah, no, damn YouTube. Anyways,
I'm sorry.
And they're misgendered or dead named. Gender dysphoria, according to WebD, is a feeling that your body does not reflect your true gender and can cause distress such as anxiety and depression.
would you like to share your thoughts on WebMD?
I don't think it's the most reliable source. Isn't like the Wikipedia.
Well, the reason
I've-
I chose that is because when I looked up gender dysphoria, I couldn't find many sources with an actual definition.
No, hold
so
it.
like
I've-
wanted.
I've cited
So-
WebMD as a valid source as a way to sit there and explain what was and what isn't pedophilia, and I felt that their definition, as far as that went, seemed academically sound. On the other hand, when I cited WebMD about some of my complaints about being fucking pumped full of morphine, the doctors that I
Right.
talked to in the hospital sat there and said, "Don't use WebMD."
Yeah, like absolutely.
Well, I
Like,
think
that's
it,
what I
for
mean.
medical, like, it's hard to say. It's just, again, there weren't many sources I felt that weren't going to sound like SJW rambling about feelings. I wanted to sound medical, and I wanted it to be
well,
somewhat accurate.
Well, hold it.
There are
If-
much better.
Well, hold it. If WebMD is like Wikipedia, correct?
It's like the medical
It's like the medical
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
But I
which
got that. I
automatically-
understand that. So let's put it this way: if it's like Wikipedia, it has sources to main sources, correct? Or at least better.
Yes.
So use WebMD and then fucking follow up on, according to WebMD, following up to the main source over at such and such. At least mention WebMD.
Yeah, there are no articles in the description. Barely anything's put on screen.
I didn't have control over
right.
that part.
No, again, hold it. Midnight, if you're listening, all you have to do is sit there and include a couple of links that will overall improve the overall quality of this. People would be able to be better suited at that point there. Again, it's a very serious topic, so treat it a bit more, I guess, stringently, and, I fucked up too in the past, so don't sweat it too much.
Dysphoria is a feeling of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and restlessness. With gender dysphoria, the discomfort with your male or female body can be so intense that it can interfere with your normal life, or
I'm just so distracted by the paw. Anyways.
for instance, at work, school, or even during social activities. In some cases, this episode of unease and anxiety can cause physical pain or intrusive thoughts when they have to think of or witness the fact that people see them as their birth gender, or they have to be reminded of what their birth gender is. Gender dysphoria can be either an effect of how the brain is wired or due to how one grew up. Gender is the way we identify with our bodies. I'm agender, which means, much like asexuality is lack of gender or sexuality. My reasoning for this is how my brain was wired and the hippocampus and limbic system due to how I was raised, as explained by my therapist.
Is there a...
Okay,
hold
explained by your therapist. There's a problem.
Hold it. Is there a overgranting or overarching term to constitute everything that would be under the various gender terms?
What do you mean by that? Could you elaborate?
Well, agender isn't the same thing as transgender, correct?
Well, agender, apparently, according to, I actually did talk to a hotline one time about when you're dealing with, okay, so there was a hotline I looked up on Google about dealing with discovering your gender identity, your dysphoria and such, and they explain that transgender, non-binary, agender fall under the transgender umbrella.
Okay, cool. Fine, transgender umbrella. That's exactly the term we're looking for. If that was in the video, top notches. If you missed it, it's just...
Yeah, I did miss it again. I probably should have... I think my problem is I didn't know what time limit I had to get this to him. I didn't know, like, I kind of just went with what I was writing.
Let's put it this way. This is your first video on this topic,
right?
Correct?
Yes.
To quote Voice of Reason, your first one's allowed to suck.
A child is
okay.
And the problem I have is, like, okay, so your therapist, is your therapist a medical professional?
Yes. My therapist
In what regard?
My therapist went to college for social science, political science, psychology, and some certain medical, because you do have to have some form of medical degrees, he told me, when you, like, do psychology. I can't remember exactly what they were.
Okay, so from what I understand...
highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend citing more sources than just, well, this person said.
Okay.
I understand that, but just for your recommendation there, Step, doctors typically have to have gone to school for a bare minimum of, 6 to 8 years? Or 6 being the absolute
No, I absolutely understand that.
Yeah, and again, like, I didn't want to dox my therapist, and I used the medical source.
Well, we'll tell you what.
That's not
here's how you split the difference without mentioning the name. You could mention their full alphabet soup of medical degrees. You know how they have, like, PhD, MDA.
I think he had, I think it was MDH he had, and I think that was it.
Yeah, if I misquoted any of those, I am not a medical expert by any stretch of the word. I've seen those things. I don't have them memorized. I know Sheldon's actually a bit more versed on, like, the mental synapse thingamajig if he were around. I don't know if he actually touched upon that in his video. That's something to look into later. I don't know.
Have a place, or there's lack of nurture, there will be some wiring done to the brain while they grow up to affect how they see their body, much like gender dysphoria. I see myself as neither male nor female, and I go by they them, which is much more comfortable for me and causes a lot less dysphoria. And when people refer to me as she, her, it causes a great amount of insecurity, physical discomfort with my body, and sometimes even physical pain, and nausea and other physical symptoms. When you misgender someone to be cruel or make fun of them for how they identify, it amplifies the feeling of discomfort and anxiety, and in some cases, like my own, feeling like a burden for the way I view my body and like they're broken. In some cases, it can even cause schizophrenic breakdowns such as tactile and auditory hallucinations because of how strongly the dysphoria attacks the...
Now, I'm a bit, let When you say schizophrenic breakdowns,
It isn't exactly like auditory as you see shadows. It's when you look in the mirror, you have a hard time seeing your body the way others see it or the way you should see it. It's the wiring of your brain and how you see your body and how it's a lot like how anorexic people with anorexia are.
well,
It's sometimes
no, I kind. That's not wasn't quite what I was asking. I wasn't exactly sure what you meant by schizophrenic breakdowns because I'm not
yes.
really. I've heard the term schizophrenic kicked around.
Okay, so schizophrenic breakdowns can vary dependent upon the person and their case. Basically, it's the attacking of the brain, and schizophrenia in itself, I don't exactly know the ins and outs of it per se. I'm still working on that with my therapist, dependent because of what kind of schizophrenia I deal with the dysphoria, but basically a schizophrenic breakdown is it's kind of like sensory overload but with schizophrenia, like you will be seeing things that aren't there, or your mind will make you think it's reality, or like voices telling you.
The only time I've ever heard that till now, which is I will plead my own ignorance on that, when I hear terms like sensory overload, it always makes me think of drugs. I guess that's
Well,
just...
it's in essence, it's actually what sensory overload is for someone with like anxiety or mental issues. It's essentially when you're on drugs, but without the bliss.
Well, not all drugs give a euphoric state, but okay, let's continue on then.
Firing in the brain with intrusive thoughts. I hope that this was very helpful and it gave some insight into how the effects of misgendering could cause dysphoria to flare up. Thank you and have a wonderful day. And like I always say, let's continue to inspire each other.
The reality is it's very easy for a
Dick move.
cis person to say, well, I wouldn't care if I was misgendered because it will never happen to you. Our identity...
Yeah.
That's not entirely true. No, there are some pretty effeminate straight people.
Wait, what did you say?
He said that it'll never happen to you. There are such things as tomboys, and there are some effeminate men that are straight.
Well, no, he's gonna go and elaborate. Click continue.
Okay.
And our right to exist is not in dispute, despite what some butthurt crybabies might say. Something you'll see frequently.
No one's saying you don't have a right to exist.
That's not what he's saying at all.
That's what he just said.
No, that's not exactly what he.
Play it back.
All right, where? Here?
Like
No, he
5.
said it, but that's not what he was. If you continue to listen, you'll see he clarifies
Very
that.
easy for a cis person to say, well, I wouldn't care if I was misgendered because it will never happen to you. Our identity and our right to exist is not in dispute, despite what some butthurt crybabies might say. Something you'll see frequently on the internet is people refusing to acknowledge a trans person's identity because of something terrible they've done, which means they've somehow forfeited
Okay, that's what I
the
wanted to
right.
comment on.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you've committed a terrible crime.
Okay.
Right? You're some transgender person who's committed a terrible crime, like you murdered someone.
Randy's there.
So yeah. So Times likes to talk about basic human decency when it comes to people's pronouns, but let's say you've committed a terrible crime. You've already surrendered your basic human decency.
Oh,
And if you're a piece of shit.
I've talked to
if
social
you
justice
are-
warriors who will fight to that shit. I remember Asher, fucking not a
No.
chip napsy.
Right, no.
Who will sit
But
there
if
and
you're
say,
already
"Oh,
a piece
no."
of shit, like
Yeah.
let's say there's someone who's done something horrible on the internet or someone.
I'm
You
gonna-
reserve the right to make fun of them because they've already thrown away their basic human decency.
hold
Why
it,
should I return something that
hold-
wasn't given in the
hold it.
first place?
What
I
is-
think the reason.
Hold it.
I?
No. You're jumping in there. What's the baseline for being able to throw that away, though? Step. I know what I would go with, but go ahead. I'd like to hear yours.
Well, let's say I've already explained. Like you've committed a horrible crime,
Define.
and you feel no remorse for it. You're subhuman.
Baseline.
Well,
for
what
it.
kind of horrible crime?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a
baseline.
lot of crimes.
I know, like murder without remorse. You know, like I don't feel bad.
that's
for
that's
what
the
I did,
that's
and
the
you
bare
did some
minimal.
kind of horrible
is-
thing. No, I understand it.
I
But
keep
when
asking.
I
I keep
say-
asking baselines here, saying murder on down.
Yeah, like
Okay.
murder on up. Like let's say you've raped someone, you've done a horrible thing, you feel no remorse for it, no regret. You show no proof that you want to change. You're like, oh, I think I did nothing wrong. Like you've already surrendered your basic human decency.
I don't personally respect those people, but I just don't think I want to look like a hypocrite. And I want my pronouns to be respected.
People
So
would
I don't
understand.
think.
I have a question, Buttons. Do you say that because
gonna leave the
because
call
you
and read it on my
legitimately
laptop.
think that, or you're concerned about losing the respect of your peers by saying that is my question.
No, I think like I genuinely don't like misgendering people because I feel like I would be a hypocrite for wanting to be gendered correctly, but then not using even if someone committed. I guess I just don't want to look like a hypocrite.
Oh no, absolutely. And I think
Hold
the
it.
majority of people,
Do you
unironically,
well,
now there's
let's
difference
put
between...
it this way, Buttons. Do you feel that there's anything that you could personally do? Not that I'm saying that you have, but do you feel that there's anything you could personally do that
Hello?
would make you lose respect?
I-
That's not hard. Of course there is.
Did-
We can all do
okay.
that. Yeah, there's a way for every person in the world to lose
Wait,
respect. Hello?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, you guys cut out for a minute. My internet fucked up for a bit. What did you guys say?
Okay, so here's what I was asking, Buttons. This isn't necessarily to
Hang on,
put you on
gonna-
copy. Step, can you hear me?
I can hear.
Okay. I'll hold up.
I think it's good.
You good?
Yeah, sorry, it was cutting you out every
Why
like
is
5.
Twilight in the thumbnail?
I looked up fucking Midnight Chimes, and that's what I wound up getting.
Okay.
Maybe that's the name from Equestria Girls? I don't know. Look at it like this. Do you feel that there's anything that you could do in your life that would deprive you of personal respect?
I don't think I would ever want to like hurt, rape, murder, or anything.
Not the question. Do you feel that there's anything that you could do in your life that you would feel that would deny you your personal respect?
My personal. What do you mean by that?
Let's put it this way. Do you feel that there's a line that you would cross where you'd feel like I would no longer, not that you've done it, but is there some things that you would feel like I would no longer be entitled to baseline respect? I would absolutely say there is.
I think I can word that better. Do you think there's a possibility that you can do something so horrible that the vast majority of the people would go, okay, fuck you, I don't respect you anymore.
And you
Get
would
the
agree
fuck out
with
of our community.
I mean, I think there's a possibility of that in everyone.
Okay.
That's exactly the right answer. Perfect. That's all I want.
I'm gonna get a drink real quick.
Ah.
You can continue the video if you want.
Okay, certainly.
To that respect. But when was the last time a cis person had to earn the right to be addressed by the correct pronouns? That is the
I've hung out with many of friends who are willing to call a guy a woman. I don't know what you're talking about, Midnight. It's absolutely happened. You could call it flippant or whatnot. Friends will tear people down if you're not acting correctly. It will absolutely happen. Guys will certainly call their friends, you're acting like a bitch.
kind of bullcrap that we simply do not have to deal with. Another one of the typical excuses I get a lot when people disrespect pronouns is, well, this person isn't really transgender, they're doing it for attention, or because they're delusional, or because insert reason here. Now, I've had my share of skepticism, and yes, there probably are individuals out there who may be trans-trender, or whatever you want to call it, if for no other reason than because the semantics of gender and what it actually refers to are so confused. That being said, unless you are a medical professional qualified to make that assessment, then it is not up to you or I to make the judgments on who is real.
There's a counter-argument to that. I'll get to that in a minute since I just moved this by accident.
No, I think you have to go back a bit. I think it, go back. I'll tell you when
there
to.
it is. Yeah.
There, yep.
So, his problem with it is that he winds up saying that unless you're a medical professional to make that judgment call, Midnight, again, not as someone who's being transphobic, unless you're a medical professional, you don't get to say that either.
What are we talking about?
So Midnight Chimes says that unless there might be such a thing as he says very reluctantly, there's such a thing as a transgender, and he winds up making the remark, unless you're a medical professional, you don't get to make that judgment call. And I was like,
bullshit.
Yeah, no,
Well,
hold
I
it,
think
hold
he
it.
was
No.
saying
My counter argument to that is, seeing as how you're not a medical professional, why do you get to set the fucking bar? That's what I'm asking. Who get to say that you got to fucking put that where it is? I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure we had our revolution not to listen to people like you try and tell us what we can morally can and can't do. Fuck off. Moving along.
Judgments on who is really trans and who isn't. Such an attitude is patronising, ignorant, and apart from that, it all comes back to the same basic double standard. You would not respond that way to a cis person. Yeah, here's a question for all.
Says how? Says who?
Because it's the establishment. Of course you wouldn't.
I don't know what you're talking
Most of the time.
No, I've absolutely fucking goddamn used disparaging comments to fucking a cis person. I don't know what you're on about in any way that I could
No,
possibly...
he continues and says you wouldn't say a cis trender. Like you wouldn't say someone's pretending to be
Same
cis.
basic concept.
Yeah, it's called being in the closet. Yes, you would.
No, he's saying that you wouldn't tell someone that if someone was born male or female and they identify as that, you wouldn't tell them they're pretending to do that.
When Goat Jesus says that he's a gay bear, if I would have thought to have called him a when I say that he's trending and trying to say that he's manly, yes, I would have used that insult. I would have absolutely have. Then again, he literally ran out of the room hearing logical fallacy as an insult, so yeah, didn't need to.
Of you human garbage who appoint yourselves as the judge and jury when it comes to gender identity.
Well, what gives you the right,
We don't
Midnight?
appoint
Yeah, no,
anybody
what
as
gives
judge and
Midnight?
jury.
Midnight, what gives you the right to fucking apprise yourself as the fucking judge and jury here? What gets you the ability to sit there and say that you are the person and the arbiter of what is right and wrong in this situation?
Again, I didn't know it was going into this. I didn't know it was going to be this aggressive.
I'm
blaming
addressing
you.
Midnight, though. Here's my inevitable question. I understand, and I say this with a level of, if Midnight ever chooses to talk to me again, you're doing a poor man's Jerry Pete or Lily Pete, whatever you want to call it. Knock yourself out. And when I would have seen this, if I'd watched this video and I wasn't doing it live, I would have shrugged my shoulders and said, that's Midnight. Boys are being boys. That's how I would have handled it. And yes, be offended.
What about all the people who don't identify as trans, who are living in denial or who are deluded? Where are the cis-trenders, to coin a term? Have you nothing to say
Goat Jesus. Anyways.
about them? People like the author Juno Dawson, who in her own words spent 30 years of her life...
Wasn't that a
pretending to
person
be
who... Hold on. Juno Dawson. I could have swore I heard something that this was an absolutely horrible person. Let me look that up real quick.
I don't know exactly who that is.
Juno Dawson.
Juno Dawson used to be called James Dawson. Almost 2 years, she announced in a media interview that she was transitioning male to female after 30 years of pretending to be a boy. Since then, it's been a journey of self-discovery from the writer, who...
Hold on. Let's see. That's her website.
Yeah, I would probably have to ask more people in the LGBT community to ask if they sit there and say if there are people in their community who are in denial about what their gender is. Do I believe that that is highly possible? Well, if trans people are just as horrible as cis people, that probably is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, here's the thing that I think that liberals kind of like whitewash this, that they'll sit there and say that gays, trans, lesbians are just like the rest of us. Of course they are. Meaning that they're capable of doing everything rotten that a cis person would be able to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Meaning,
I mean, just because someone identifies as a gender that isn't like cis doesn't mean they're free of ridicule or judgment or criticism.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
Yeah, no, but my point was is that I was trying to make there is that generally he's saying that, they've never made these remarks. Well, how do I know that those aren't remarks made in transgender circles? That they're sitting there saying, this one person over here is in denial.
Like,
maybe you're the person who isn't in the know about that, Midnight. Ever think about that?
I do know that I've been in, having been hanging out with, when I hung with Lily's freaking group, there were people who would kind of give cis people this flack, so to say, and it like saying they are phobic for fucking stupid reasons, or there are remarks that are made that do piss me off. You know, I'm not one to speak for and I probably should have stated this in my part. I didn't do this video to state anything for the side of transgender people. I don't speak for transgender people. I am not transgender. I don't know that, but I know dysphoria. I don't know per se. I guess what I'm trying to say is there are people who will say really stupid things, get very offended very easily, and there are cruel people too. I remember. Okay, this is a story I got. I'll leave this person nameless because there's someone who I had an issue with recently, and I don't want to start that fire up again. And I think I want to get that.
Step. Anyways.
Well, no, it's not that person at all. Actually, It was the person I told you about, the suicidal one.
That doesn't narrow it down these days.
The one that said they didn't want to talk to you and didn't want to be named.
That doesn't narrow it down either.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay.
But there was
this
a person.
This person.
Anonymous person was a friend of mine, and they worked. I don't know where they worked. I just know they worked somewhere, and they they were male to female trans, so they were not, born with the ability to bear children. And their coworker got pregnant, and this person was recently transitioned. Like this person had been working there for years, and they would recently transition maybe a year or two prior. I think I could be wrong. And the person, just kind of said, "Oh, be glad you don't have to bear the child. Be glad you can't get pregnant because being pregnant kind of can suck." And she didn't think about the fact that the person wants to have children, wants to be a girl, and said, "Oh my God, no, I did not mean that. I'm so sorry." This person I used to be friends with pissed me off because they're like, "I went to HR and I hope that person gets fired." And I said, "You motherfucker. She is bearing a child."
I remember this whole story,
yes.
And I remember who was completely on board for that shit. I will bite my tongue about that.
Yeah. I was very livid, and then I got chewed out afterwards for it, saying that was transphobic of the woman. And I'm like, that's not
Don't worry, person. Don't worry. There's someone in Kiwi Farms who will protect your blessed little name so you'll never get a thread. Don't worry about that. And that's why you keep referring to said person as a good person when he's not. Let's continue.
Yeah, yeah.
The double standard betrays the inherent transphobia which underpins this whole way of thinking, and it is everywhere. The brony community is...
Hold on, pause for a second.
Yeah.
There's a problem with using the word transphobia. It's seen as a buzzword nowadays.
See, the thing I hate is a transphobic person is someone, in my opinion, who is willful to transgender, is obviously, very openly rude about it. Openly phobic to me is not just like afraid, but also openly against it, rude, disparages people for being trans, makes them feel like garbage, that kind of shit on purpose.
Wouldn't anti follow that better?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Can a trans person be transphobic?
I don't know. See,
yes.
I guess it could be
Then it has no meaning whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's my point. Is I don't like it when people try and say transphobia because, like the Coyote Drake and Eater thing, for example. Coyote wasn't focusing on pronouns at the moment. He was just focusing on the argument in the Twitter thread, and he meant to say, "Oh, I don't care about the pronouns in the moment. I'm just trying to focus on this," and he got called transphobic for that. And he didn't mean it to say, "I don't care about pronouns." He just meant to say, "I'm not focused on that issue," and that's horrible. Transphobia isn't. It's thrown around so horribly, and it pisses me off.
It goes back to my original point here. Don't make things harder than they need to be. If there are more pressing issues and matters, for example, if someone's trying to find out if someone's a pedophile or not, perhaps check your feelings.
Yeah.
Example from my experience, and it is distressing to see how...
Really, your experience has been... I didn't hear an example there.
Readily, we are just prepared to accept it as the norm. Make no mistake, expecting to have your pronouns adhered to is completely reasonable. It's extremely simple, and if
depends on
someone
what you do and
doesn't
who you
make that
are.
basic effort or says you are being too sensitive when you ask them, then they are disrespecting your very existence. And I don't know about you, but something like that would make me pretty pissed off. And if I see you deliberately misgender someone, whomever it may be, then I'm afraid I just cannot take you seriously. You sound like an idiot. If you can't get something as
But you can't look
simple...
up basic dictionary definitions. You expect me to take you seriously? Okay. All right. Wait. You put the wrong your. Fuck.
Good.
pronoun rights.
That's my get out of jail free card. Maybe I just meant to say guy.
You have anything else much of merit to say anyway. It's time we see transphobia for what it is and take a stand against it. Enough is enough.
Oh. Enough is enough.
Not gonna watch that.
Boys.
Wow. Jesus Christ. So which one of Jerry's videos was this ripped off of? Jesus.
See, I can understand if he was saying, like, if everyday people who haven't really, like, deserved disrespect are being disrespected. Like, I can understand the rage.
But no, I could still probably sit through Sheldon's video and probably come up with 6 hours of content if I wanted to, just because he was so full of himself. And what the fuck have you done?
It was pretty entertaining.
What the fuck have you done to sat there and look down on anybody, you fucking hunchback? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and again, I don't, I accept the criticism, and like, Leo gave very helpful criticism in the video about my puppet sprites, and I was like, oh yeah, I could work on those. There were also some points made about expressing, people were saying, well, it may not be the wiring in your brain or something. How do you know that? And
Right.
I did express in the video, I did say it came from both a mix of the wiring in my brain and my experiences growing up and environmental factors. That's how my therapist explained it. That's when I
So we do
explained.
address what you say in the video.
Yeah.
So now why'd you say we didn't on Twitter?
What?
Then why'd you say we didn't?
Well, no, I didn't.
Hold it there, Step.
I said you guys
No,
tended to.
Step. You're doing a hateful right now.
Huh?
We guys. Well, I'm sorry. Were you in that video?
I was in that video.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, he was in there for like
I
a
was just
bit of
about to
it.
see.
No, he definitely was in there. And I didn't say, like, you didn't address it. I said that you guys did misrepresent it a little bit. You guys made it seem like I was just saying that it's in the wiring in my brain and I'm full of shit or something. But, like, it's
Well,
not...
no, Sheldon was actually pretty calm about it the majority of the time, I feel.
No, he was
did
calm.
actually...
He was calm, but, like, there were some things that were, like, again, misinterpreted or represented that I said.
Oh, yeah, no. All right, let me take a very centrist point here. There's stupid people on both sides.
I guess.
That's,
I don't.
I'm imagining the crack pipe in one hand with the centrist fucking meme there. Oh, here we go again.
It did kind of piss the dog shit out of me that you guys kept trying to say, well, she. I was like, that did piss the dog shit out of me, and it flared my own dysphoria a lot.
Oh,
Okay, so from my perspective, and I understand this isn't yours, I remember turning to my dad back when I was young. I'm like, Dad, what should I really, when it comes to white or Mexican, whatever helps you out at the moment. So
although
yeah,
I disapprove of affirmative action.
Oh yeah, no. If the Ku Klux Klan is marching by me on the street, I am white. If La Raza Nito is walking by, I am Mexican. That's all they're. Yeah.
The thing is, I don't ever identify as female. There's.
Just how Carl pretends to be black. He's got.
Well, you kind of have to for taking a survey or something.
I'm not gonna. I don't ever pretend to be female, but like if I'm in a workplace or doctor's office, like the doctor's office actually hasn't given they them on the what do you identify as?
I have a question about that though. Does that, in your opinion, Step, does that make fucking Sargon transracial?
What does Sargon identify as?
He tried to say that he has a black member in his family. And there really
I don't
one.
think that makes him
black.
That's
not transracial.
That's
not transracial. No, okay, transracial is when you have nothing of any ethnicity in your family and you say, oh, well, I seem to fit these characteristics, so I feel like I could be this.
Okay.
like say the stereotype of Irish people like potatoes. You have not a single piece of Irish blood in you. Oh, but I'm Irish by spirit. Something like that, yeah.
Spirits.
Well, you know.
Yeah, no.
No. The way you would say that is, I'm Irish by these spirits in my hand.
Kinda, yeah.
No, that's a joke about drinking.
But my point goes back to I don't like answer to female just because I like it's how I am. Like I heard you guys saying that I will sometimes like perk up or I will answer to female. It's not because I identify as that. It's because I know it's going to cause at least conflict, and I'm just not going to deal with it.
You do seem, again, and I understand it's situation by situation. You know what? I don't feel like going into it. I've been drinking, and I don't want to have to sit there and dance along this as gently as possible.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to talk about real quick.
Okay.
This whole controversy around straight pride.
Okay.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay, so I can say, I don't think it's I don't think if people want to be pride, like have a flag on their Twitter or be like, yeah, I'm straight, I'm proud about it, that's fine, that's absolutely valid. Straight is a sexuality, they can be proud about it. Hey, I mean, for God's sake, I'm heterosexual. Well, let me please let me finish. Yeah, I'm demisexual. I'm demi-heterosexual, so yes, I'm hetero, but like demi is basically it's a form of asexuality, but it just means you'll only have those relations with someone if you have a strong lasting bond and trust with them.
So hold it, Step.
But
You're arguing dishonestly when you sit there and say, "What about this? You're a George Carlinite, and George said that too much pride cometh before the fall." You're arguing dishonestly, you sufficed. Bullshit. You don't really.
How am I
mean it.
arguing dishonestly? You don't even know what I'm arguing for.
You're saying, why can't we have that? And I was like, if you're being.
Well, I'm very libertarian on this matter. I
don't
feel
think
like if a bunch of straight people want to, hey, let's have a float. No,
I think you want it just
we're a
because you're
large
told you
group of
can't
people.
have it. That's what you're doing right
No,
now.
no.
I don't think, again, I think it's valid if people
Yeah.
want to express their
Reason-
straight, but I don't think, I don't think it's fair if they want an entire parade in the month of, the reason Pride was even made is because of the oppression of the homosexual. It was also a commemoration of the riots of Stonewall in New York. It was a riot that started
actually one
the
of my issues
civil
with the
rights
Pride
movement.
Yeah, if
That's
you
one of
want
my
it,
issues
if you
with
want a
Pride.
straight Pride parade, wouldn't Thanksgiving the one where you wiped out all the Indians be? Or,
Yeah.
Well, no, wait.
There's
why
no
would-
reason to celebrate being straight because originally, like nowadays, obviously, yes, straight is a little less common, but like originally, the meaning of the meaning of pride is because of the oppression and the literal physical violence against gay people. You could take this as an anecdotal and say, "Fuck off," I don't want to hear that. But my brother, growing up, he was gay, and I remember growing up with him. I was 12 years old. We were going for a walk, and someone shot a BB gun at him because they found out he was homosexual. There is actual physical violence in some cases, and the reason people celebrate being straight is because it's like it feels safe, feels secure, and
I thought of another example, and don't ask how I got to Dusky Novel.
okay.
So
All right,
when
go
someone,
ahead.
when someone would say you
okay.
would never,
Hold on, let
you
Anthony go.
would never say that someone fucking is trending cis. I'm just going off of how he asks and sounds. I would absolutely say that he's cis trender. And that's not because of the pedophilia. I'm saying he's very effeminate.
Yeah, but again, I'm very libertarian on the matter. Sure, during Pride Month, it's strange. Why would you do that? But like, let's say, hey, we're a group of people. We're funding this ourselves. It's going to be non-profit. We want to get together, and hey, we're straight people. Let's have some fun.
Well, I think the reason that is because straight people aren't ostracized for being straight. They're not, like nowadays, like they haven't ever had to go outside and be like there was a Twitter.
There's a Scotia that on the internet, but I understand what Buttons might be trying to say is.
I know, I understand.
They don't have to fear being openly straight in an area, holding hands with their lover. They don't, like they can, if they have their parade, it's kind of like.
I was about to say the comeback line you'd want to, as long as you're not wearing a MAGA hat, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, I don't know what that is.
What's wrong with supporting
but,
the president?
The Trump hat. I was about to say.
There's people they don't have to feel like, oh, we have a place to feel secure and safe and together when they have that already. It's kind of like a spit in the face.
I get that. I don't necessarily see it as a spit in the face if it's not in Pride Month.
Well, it kind of, even if it isn't in Pride Month, is still slightly a spit in the face, even not fully, because it's an insult to the meaning that...
There are oodles and oodles of places that gay people could go to feel that like every free convention ever.
There could be, but it's still not... It's an annual thing that was made to be put into society as a historical thing for every month of June because of the physical violence.
All right, so let me ask you, Step. Since obviously that probably came up after I already went through school, is that taught in history books?
What is?
Gay Pride Month?
No.
I would stand against that then. If you're sitting there saying that it's our own historical significance, if it's not in a history book, then no.
I didn't argue with historical significance. I argued from a place of libertarianism as, hey, if it's privately funded, not privately funded, if you want to hold a rally or something for whatever you want, we have like the most lenient free speech laws in the entire world, I feel.
Yeah.
So if a group of people with a similar...
But the thing is like, with straight pride... what do they have to fight for?
It doesn't have to be fighting for anything.
But that's the reason. That is the reason gay pride was made. Is because they had to
reason
fight.
gay pride.
All right, so let me.
A parade
explain.
can be for multiple different reasons.
So here's
necessarily have to
the
be-
answer. I think that probably LGBT wants to hear. You have to fight to stay on top, as any company will tell you.
You have to fight to not
Doesn't have
be,
to be.
not even to stay on top. You have to fight to feel like you have a place and you're
No,
allowed
you're,
to.
you asked what straight people have to fight for, and I gave you the
Oh.
answer. Yeah, it's the same
It doesn't
reason.
have to be about fighting to survive. That's not what it really is about. What I feel a straight pride parade or whatever it should be
Chris.
about.
Yeah.
It should be, hey, yeah, we and a group of people, a group of my friends, you come along too. We're gonna hold a rally. I prefer a rally or something like a party.
Why would there be a rally though? Like,
So-
Not a
what?
rally. Not a
Because
rally.
Step
like a get
Step would
together.
want to make sure that we have banners and not flags.
But
Isn't a
most
banner a
LG
kind of flag?
most LGBT flags look terrible, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to get at is like it doesn't have to be a parade. It can just be a party for straight people.
Okay.
Sure, during Pride Month it can be weird, but it doesn't have to be from a place of we feel oppressed. It can just as easily be as a place of let's have some fun. Let's
Well, yeah,
celebrate.
let's have fun. Like,
Well,
you could have
yeah.
a party with your
That's
friends.
what I was
Don't
getting
make-
at.
Well, here,
but
here-
don't
here-
make.
here's the thing I would point out to you.
Make
If
anything.
you're LGBT and there's a straight pride parade, if there's alcohol being passed out, I mean, there's nothing that's going to stop you from showing up in the same way that straight people can show up for a gay, lesbian, trans, and bi freaking celebration. It's one more time to go out and have a good time. So why fight it? I suppose is the best way I could.
Well,
Yeah, again, I'm very
my
libertarian.
Yes.
my issue isn't that they're celebrating. If they want to have a party, if they want to have a get together, that's fine. But to have a giant parade, to have a rally, to have something that pride people have that's in giant numbers, to rally together, to say, we are united against the struggle of what we've gone through. That's the meaning of it.
Okay.
That's
So
what
you
this
kind
is.
of
But it doesn't have to have the same.
you pegged it on the head there. We're united against the struggle. Who's the struggle? The cis straight people?
Yeah,
It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be about
Oh,
struggle.
you said yeah. Oh, okay.
No, I didn't say
yeah.
that.
You
I didn't
absolutely
say that.
said yeah. We've got this
I
on
did not
recording.
say yeah.
I didn't mean to say like, yeah, I was stuttering. I was trying to get my point. I was trying to get my words out. Like, it's not the struggle against the cis straight people. It's the struggle against the people that oppress them. It doesn't have to be cis or straight. I know like I'm agender and other trans people will oppress me. It's just against oppression in general.
Yeah, but a different event does not have to be for the same purpose. You understand where I'm getting at, right?
They don't have to be the same purpose, but because of what it represents, it will feel like it makes the cause less.
So- I feel like doing this now just to give you a little bit of a hard time, Step. When someone called you transphobic, was that Cinnamon Sparks by chance?
No, Sid and I are cool.
Oh, I thought for sure that was it. I was almost willing to bet any amount of money that it was Cinnamon Sparks. Okay.
No, Sin's a bro.
No, I just assumed that they were giving you a hard time. Carrying on. I assumed it was more chummy, lol. You're a transphobic bibic, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't think of a straight pride parade being.
Well,
It's gauche.
let me defuse this whole thing. Buttons. I hate parades, so I'm not even arguing for this.
Okay.
Yeah,
They wake me up.
No,
I don't like parade.
I've,
Well, here's the
when I've basically volunteered to help work for my state representative Emily McCasey years before.
Oh, lucky bastard.
Yeah, no, cool person. She runs on a post. She at least these days. I just remember it felt like a big giant drag. I'm just not a fan of parades. If people really want to enjoy it and have it, that's something cool. But I would never sit there and say, hey, you got a day off from work, you want to go do a parade? I cannot imagine for the life of me anyone saying yes.
yeah, see, like, well, the reason even, like, okay, I hate parades, too. I've never liked them, but I've been to a pride parade once, and even going to that, and I remember specifically going because that was around the time my lung collapsed, so I remember very specifically, but the pride parade I went to, it felt like an amazing okay, like how you're a brony and you go to a convention and you usually, you're at home, you don't exactly know how you feel about being a brony, there's all these different mixed emotions, and then you go to a brony convention and all that just wipes out of you. You're in a place, you're having a good time, you're with friends, you're meeting people that are new and old, and that's the feeling of a pride parade for people in LGBT.
Okay.
That's the cross comparison I can make.
All I remember is the best comparison I could come up with that at BabsCon. Looney was walking around with a bunch of cringy people singing, and I just thought that was the cringiest thing I'd ever seen at a con in all my years of going.
Well, that's not. That's
No, I know
not
that's not the
the-
same thing. I just wanted to
Yeah.
take a shot at Looney. But anyways.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's actually the perfect cross comparison. When you go to a convention, you are with your people. You can forget your troubles for a day or a weekend or however long you're there, and be with people who are with
that's-
your interests.
That's
Here,
kind of
let
the point of any party, really.
Let me
Most
But that's
parties.
not.
Let me give you one step. You want a straight pride parade? St. Patrick's Day. It's about as straight as it gets.
Could be, yeah, but I'm not Irish, so I wouldn't really identify.
Oh,
with
you're
them.
all Irish for that day. that's the big joking
Okay,
game
fine.
about
I
it.
wear green. I refuse to get pinched. Fair
Indeed.
enough.
So
But again, it's a very libertarian thing.
I think we've
Like I say, if you want to and you can fund it, go for it.
I feel like we've come to our end. Are we good?
Yeah.
Woot. All right. Oh, I'll be
Minorities.
I'll be seeing Midnight scream at me